In this video, we're going to be getting into 3 reasons to why you struggle with cupping your left wrist in the golf swing. So if you're not going to be doing any of these 3 reasons, you're going to be hard pressed to be cupping that left wrist. So let's get right into it and let's fix the problem. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. So reason number 1 to why you are cupping your left wrist for your golf swing is when you're set up to the golf ball, your hands are too level to that golf ball. Because if I have a standard grip here and my hands are too level at setup, you're going to see how I've just preset a small cup into my lead wrist. So then, of course, if I'm swinging through my golf swing, maintaining that same structure, I've just got a cup left wrist without me doing really anything there other than just setting up with those hands a little bit too level. So again, if I maintain that in the downswing, we know we're gonna have an open club face, we're gonna have a steep shaft, which is the main things you want to, reasons why you want to avoid having a cup left wrist. It's not going to work out too great for us. So very simple fix for the first one here. What we need to do, we need to make sure, instead of having those hands level, I always prefer to see those hands just inside the left thigh here. So if we've got a standard grip, we want these hands to be just inside the left thigh. You can see straight away when I push those hands forward, that lead wrist straightens out a little bit, it flattens. So now it's so much easier to get me up to the top of the backswing with a flat left wrist. So there's a drill we're going to do throughout the whole of the video here with all these points, and that is, if you've watched along my channel, you know I talk a lot about cup left wrists, you're going to know this drill. So, okay, we want those hands forward, but to train this movement as well, let's put a tee in the glove just like this. You can see how I put it about 3/4 of the way in. So if I start to cup my left wrist from here, it's going to jab into me, it's going to hurt. I've got these plastic tees where they're actually a bit jagged as well, so it gives you extra pain when you do it. So now if I swing up and I keep that very flat and I have those hands forward at address, I'm going to feel now whether I cup that left wrist, I'm going to be in a better spot. So hands on the inside of the left thigh. Now I want to maintain that structure. I don't want this tee to jab into me. It's going to be way easier now to have a flatter left wrist and not cup it. So the second reason to why you are cupping your left wrist in the golf swing is because you are hinging your wrists in the backswing too vertically and too early. So you could be a golfer as well who is just trying to obsess about wrist hinge. Now, if I wrist hinge and do it straight off the golf ball, you're going to see straight away, even just doing it from this angle, how I'm going to start cupping my lead wrist. A lot of golfers are trying to do this. They're trying to add that hinge in straight away. It's very hard to do that correctly. So that will create a little cup in the left wrist. And of course, if I hold it through there, yep, that's going to stay cupped through my swing, steep shaft, open club face. But also from there, what's going to happen if I do it a little bit too much in the mid backswing? It's going to do the same thing. So we know the ideal place where those wrists start to hinge is around left arm parallel. They gradually hinge up. But if I'm a player who really is trying to overly do it, it's just going to cup every single time. It's going to be an awful move. Again, I'm going to have to do a lot to be able to make that work in the golf swing. Steep shaft, open club face, nightmare. So what we want to be doing here, yes, we still want a wrist hinge. We just don't need to obsess about it, and we don't want to do it too early there. I'll put up a card up here for a video just on that. But my approach to wrist hinge is it happens very naturally. We don't need to force it. And we especially don't need to force it early in the golf swing here. So if I have a quite nice and loose grip pressure here, I'm not trying to strangle the club. I'm just really feeling quite nice grip pressure. Without me thinking at all, I'm naturally going to hinge my wrists. Now, if I was gripping it too tight, then yes, I would have to add some wrist hinging because I'm not going to be able to naturally do it. So now I'm gripping 10 out of 10 here, really hard. I know a lot of you are doing that. So that's going to create no wrist hinge, gripping it 3 out of 10 in grip pressure. It's doing it naturally. I'm not trying to. Now I'm not vertically hinging them up, so there's no cup in it. And then of course, that's going to create a flatter left wrist. I'll be able to swing through quite nicely. So, yep, absolutely. What do we need to do? We need to do that same drill here. So when I finally found it out of my pocket, the tee, put that tee in, put it in a good 3/4 of the way. If you cup that left wrist, you're going to stab yourself. You're going to straight away, oh, now you can't do that wrist hinge too early. You can't overdo it in the backswing. I've got to stop trying to demonstrate that because that hurts. So, nice, light grip pressure. Keep this tee nice and flat, not stabbing you, and you're going to be having less cup and a flatter left wrist. Now, reason number 3 to why you are struggling with a cupped left wrist in your golf swing, and that is because you've got a very strong lead hand grip. But this is not necessarily a fault. It's only a fault if you don't match this up correctly with an extra movement. Because with grips, we need to match up that type of grip with the appropriate wrist angle for a square club face. So a cupped left wrist actually gets you a square club face with a strong lead hand grip. Because if I, from here, flattened my left wrist, the club face is going to close. If I bowed it, the club face is going to really close. So I need that cupped left wrist to make a strong grip work. There's nothing actually wrong with that too much, other than the other thing that happens when we have a cupped left wrist, and that is the shaft gets steeper. So really from here, if I keep that cupped left wrist, I'm always going to have quite a steep shaft, unless I do other things in my golf swing. So you can see here the influence of wrist angles. If I flatten it, see how it gets very neutral, my first movement in the downswing. When I bow it, it gets really horizontal, quite shallow there. Cupped will steepen it. So, okay, if we've got a strong grip, what have we got to do to be able to make that work? We have to find another way to shallow the golf club, because our wrist angle isn't going to help us at all. So what I'll see quite a lot of the golfers do with a strong grip that make this work, they'll either have a lot of right elbow drive moving in towards in front of their body, which will shallow out the golf club. They need a lot of that to combat that cupped left wrist. Or I'd see a lot of golfers roll their lead forearm like this, so like the takeaway move, but just in the downswing. That can work out quite nicely for you. And as well, golfers having a very, very good pivot. So really separating lower body, mid-torso, leaving hands and arms up, shallowing the golf club there. I'll put a card up here for a video on shallow methods to really, really help you with this thing here and this movement. But really from there, that's one of the reasons why, even though I say you can, play with any grip, strong grips aren't necessarily my preference because of that one reason. We have to work extra hard there to be able to shallow that golf club with that strong grip because of the cupped left wrist here. So you will really need to work on a movement here. So let's say you're working on getting that trail elbow in front of you. You can grab, like, let's say my very deflated pink spiky ball here. And if you've got a strong grip, you would want to be making sure that as soon as you're going into your downswing, you're squeezing that ball in between your arms, because that then will be shallowing your club still with a strong grip. It can be done. Look at Henrik Stenson, for example. He makes it work quite nicely. So if I squeeze this, that's going to be getting my right arm in front of me, which will be helping me shallow the club with that grip type and with that wrist angle. It's going to be harder, definitely going to be harder for you, but if you want to keep that grip, you can do it this way. So there you go. Those are 3 reasons to why you struggle with a cupped left wrist in the golf swing, and obviously a reason for all of those to help you fix it. So if you like this video, of course, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So let's work on these and we'll have much better wrist angles, hitting straighter shots.